Have you noticed that it takes just a little more effort to get up from your chair lately? Or maybe the grocery bag that used to feel light now feels heavier, and walking across the parking lot leaves you more tired than it used to. If you've shrugged it off as just age catching up, you're not alone, but you might be missing one of the most common silent changes that happens after 60. Muscle loss. The medical term for this is sarcopenia, and it's more than just a fancy word. It's a condition that affects nearly every older adult, often slowly, quietly, and without warning. What's even more surprising is that it doesn't always begin with something obvious. It may start with a small change, taking longer to stand up, noticing that your pant legs are looser even though your weight hasn't changed, or struggling to carry a laundry basket upstairs. These early signs often get ignored. Why? Because they don't feel dramatic. You're still walking. You're still living your life. But what's happening beneath the surface is that your body is beginning to lose muscle strength, stability, and stamina. And if left unnoticed, this can lead to bigger issues like falls, loss of independence, and even shortened lifespan. The good news? You can catch it early. And when you do, you can take real, simple steps to protect your strength, stay steady on your feet, and keep doing the things you love without fear. In this video, we'll explore 7 early symptoms of muscle loss that are often overlooked, especially by older adults who still consider themselves active enough. We'll explain what each symptom really means, why it matters, and what you can do starting today to take back control of your body's strength. Because muscle loss isn't just about looking thinner, it's about staying strong, balanced, confident, and fully alive in your own body, no matter your age. I know you are a person who likes to watch videos quietly. If you have not liked and subscribed to the channel, now is a good time to do it because you are a kind person. If the video is helpful, press 1. If the video is not good enough or needs improvement, press 2. Thanks everyone. Now let's get started. Number 1. Difficulty rising from a chair. Margaret, 75, had always been independent. She cooked for herself, drove to church every Sunday, and loved spending afternoons reading by the window in her favorite armchair. But over the last few months, she noticed something subtle. It took her longer to get up. At first, she laughed it off, joking, "These old knees are just cranky." But slowly, standing became more effortful. She found herself pushing off with both hands. Then she needed to rock forward to gain momentum. And sometimes when she was tired, she hesitated, as if her legs just didn't feel like cooperating. What Margaret was experiencing is one of the first and most overlooked signs of muscle loss in seniors. Difficulty rising from a seated position, especially from a soft chair, low couch, or toilet seat. It may not seem serious at first glance, but it's actually a key indicator of declining strength in the quadriceps and gluteal muscles. The muscles in your thighs and hips that support standing, walking, and balance. As we age, these large muscle groups are often the first to weaken, not because we stop moving entirely, but because we move less intensely. We walk, we sit, we do small tasks, but we don't challenge the muscles to stay strong. And when muscles aren't used in full range or under some resistance, they gradually shrink, a process known as atrophy. Science tells us that after the age of 60, we can lose 3 to 5% of muscle mass each decade, and even faster if we're sedentary or recovering from illness or injury. That loss doesn't just affect how we look, it affects how we function. Rising from a chair requires coordinated effort between the hips, legs, core, and balance systems. When those muscles weaken, the body compensates in small ways, leaning forward more, using hands to push, or avoiding low seats entirely. You might not notice it at first. It may only happen when you're tired, or after sitting for a while. But this small struggle is a red flag, one that tells us the body is quietly losing its strength foundation. Left unchecked, it can progress to difficulty climbing stairs, slower walking, and higher risk of falls. The beautiful truth, it's reversible. With the right support and gentle action, these muscles can be awakened again. For Margaret, her doctors suggested adding a simple routine, standing up from a chair 10 times each morning without using her hands, then doing it again in the afternoon. She also began walking more purposefully around her block and added a little more protein to her meals. Within weeks, she reported that standing felt smoother, even automatic again. And more than that, she felt proud. "It's a small thing," she said, "but I feel like I got part of myself back." So if you've noticed that you need to push harder to rise from a chair, or if it takes a little rock to get started, pay attention. Your body isn't failing you. It's sending a message. And that message is, let's rebuild. Start small. Practice standing from different chairs without using your hands. Try tightening your thigh muscles when sitting for long periods. And if you're unsure, ask your doctor or physical therapist to evaluate your strength. There are simple assessments that can identify where support is needed, because strength after 60 isn't about lifting heavy weights or becoming an athlete. It's about staying capable and confident in the movements that matter most to your everyday life. In the next part, we'll explore another often ignored symptom, a slow but steady decrease in walking speed, and why that one detail can say so much about your health. Let's continue with number 2, slower walking speed. Number 2, slower walking speed. Robert, 78, used to be the fastest walker in his group of friends. "You'd better keep up or you'll lose him," his wife would laugh as they strolled through the park. But recently, Robert noticed something he couldn't explain. He still walked every day, but it took him longer to go the same distance. People started passing him on the sidewalk. He stopped to rest more often. His legs felt fine, no pain, no injury, just slower, like his body had quietly shifted into a lower gear. This kind of change happens to many older adults, and it's often brushed off as just getting older. But in reality, a slower walking speed is one of the clearest and most consistent early signs of muscle loss, and it tells us more than most people realize. Walking is more than just putting one foot in front of the other. It's a complex coordination of your muscles, nervous system, joints, balance, and energy. When your muscles, particularly in the legs, hips, and core, begin to weaken, your body adapts by reducing speed to maintain stability. It's your body's way of protecting you. But while it might seem harmless, a slower walking speed has been linked in medical research to higher risk of falls, hospitalization, cognitive decline, and even early mortality. Studies show that a walking speed of less than 0.8 meters per second, about 2.6 feet per second, is associated with increased health risks. That's roughly the pace of someone who takes over 6 seconds to walk 15 feet. What's more surprising is that many people don't notice their pace changing until it's pointed out by a loved one or health provider. So why does speed matter? Because walking quickly requires strength, power, and coordination, especially in the muscles of the thighs, calves, and glutes. As we lose muscle mass, a natural process after 60 if we're not actively maintaining it, these muscles become less efficient. The result? Shorter steps, less push-off, and ultimately slower speed. The danger isn't just the pace, it's what it represents, a decrease in your body's reserve strength. But here's the good news. Just like muscle strength, walking speed can be improved and even restored. When Robert mentioned his concern at a routine checkup, his doctor recommended a walking assessment. It turned out he was just below the healthy range. So they made a plan. Walk for 10 minutes every morning at a slightly brisker pace, focus on arm swing and posture, and add 2 short strength routines each week. After a month, Robert's walking speed had noticeably increased, and so had his confidence. "It feels good to feel in control of my own feet again," he smiled. If you're unsure about your own walking speed, try this simple test. Time how long it takes you to walk 15 feet, about 5 steps for most people. If it takes more than 6 or 7 seconds, your body may be slowing down, and it's worth talking to your doctor about a strength check or walking program. You can also improve walking speed with simple adjustments. Walk with intention, swing your arms gently, engage your core, and walk on varied surfaces when safe. These small changes stimulate both your muscles and your brain. Walking is freedom. It's independence. It's the ability to go where you want, when you want. So if you notice yourself slowing down, even just a little, don't wait. Your body might be whispering that it's time to rebuild strength before it starts shouting through fatigue or falls. In the next part, we'll focus on something even smaller, yet just as telling, the loss of grip strength and why your hands may be telling the story of your whole body. Let's continue with number 3, loss of grip strength. Number 3, loss of grip strength. Evelyn, 76, was folding laundry one afternoon when she noticed something strange. She struggled to open a simple plastic jar of moisturizer, a task she had done 1,000 times before. A few days later, she dropped her coffee mug when trying to rinse it at the sink. Her hands didn't hurt, and she didn't feel clumsy, just weaker. "I guess I'm just losing my grip," she said with a half smile. What she didn't realize was that this small moment was actually a sign of something much bigger. Loss of grip strength is one of the most reliable and often ignored indicators of overall muscle decline, not just in your hands but throughout your body. In fact, researchers now consider grip strength a strong predictor of mobility, independence, and even life expectancy in older adults. Why is this simple movement so powerful? Because gripping an object, whether it's a fork, a doorknob, or your grandchild's hand, doesn't just involve your fingers. It requires coordination and strength from the muscles in your forearms, wrists, shoulders, and even your upper back. And like every other muscle group, if you're not using them regularly, they begin to weaken slowly, quietly, and sometimes without any pain at all. You might notice this loss in subtle ways, dropping things more often, needing both hands to open a bottle, or struggling to turn a key. These moments are easy to overlook or laugh off, but they're also early signs of sarcopenia, the age-related muscle loss that affects up to 50% of people over 70 if not addressed. Grip strength is also tied to your ability to carry groceries, use mobility aids, prepare food, and even support yourself during a fall. Weak hands can lead to bigger risks down the line, especially if it affects your confidence in daily tasks. And when we stop doing what's hard, we often do less overall, leading to more muscle loss and a dangerous cycle of decline. But here's the hopeful truth. Grip strength can absolutely be improved, often with small, simple actions. When Evelyn brought up her concern during her checkup, her doctor wasn't surprised. He performed a quick grip strength test using a handheld device and found her strength below the healthy range for her age. He recommended a few easy exercises, squeezing a softball for 30 seconds a day, using light hand weights during TV time, and doing basic wrist curls with a soup can. Within 3 weeks, Evelyn noticed her hands felt stronger and steadier. "I opened that jar without even thinking," she said proudly. If you're wondering about your own grip strength, there's a simple way to check. Try wringing out a wet towel. Can you do it firmly and with control? Can you hold a full glass of water for a minute without strain? If the answer is no or even barely, it's time to give your hands some love. Start small. Use resistance balls, light hand weights, or even a rolled-up towel to practice daily grip. When brushing your teeth, try brushing with your non-dominant hand once a week to engage different muscles. And perhaps most importantly, don't stop doing the things that challenge you just a little, because those moments are where strength lives. Your hands tell the story of your strength. They are the tools through which you cook, write, garden, comfort, and connect. Losing grip doesn't just affect what you can hold. It affects how you hold onto life itself. In the next part, we'll shift our focus to something many people dismiss as just getting older. But it could be a key warning sign: fatigue after small tasks. Let's continue with number 4, increased fatigue after small tasks. Number 4, increased fatigue after small tasks. Thomas, 80, was always a man of routine. Every morning he'd make his bed, walk down the driveway to get the newspaper, and cook himself a simple breakfast. But lately something had changed. After making breakfast and washing a few dishes, he felt like he needed to sit down. Walking from the kitchen to the bedroom left him slightly winded. And when he went to fold laundry, he found himself needing a break halfway through. There was no pain, no shortness of breath, just a kind of lingering fatigue that made him feel like his energy had been quietly drained. Many older adults describe this exact experience, often assuming it's simply getting older. But in reality, this pattern, feeling unusually tired after simple, everyday tasks, can be one of the most overlooked signs of muscle loss. Why? Because your muscles are what carry you through every movement, big or small. Climbing stairs, lifting groceries, cooking a meal, brushing your hair, all require muscular energy. When muscle mass starts to decline, your body becomes less efficient at performing even basic actions. Tasks that once took little effort now demand more energy, more time, and more recovery. And the result is a type of fatigue that feels different from the kind you get after a workout. It's quiet, persistent, and often subtle. Medically, this happens because muscle is one of the body's most metabolically active tissues. It supports your energy levels, balance, and even regulates how your body uses sugar and stores fat. When muscle mass decreases, your body has to work harder to do the same things, and that extra effort leads to quicker fatigue, especially after meals or light housework. Thomas eventually mentioned this to his doctor, thinking it was probably his heart or lungs. But after a basic evaluation and strength test, the doctor said, "It's not your heart, Thomas. It's your muscles." That day, they created a simple action plan. Walk for 10 minutes in the morning, add a few sit-to-stands from a chair before lunch, and increase his daily protein intake with an extra egg or a small portion of Greek yogurt. Within 3 weeks, Thomas wasn't just completing his routine again, he was even helping a neighbor rake leaves. "It surprised me how fast I started feeling like myself again," he said. So what should you watch for? Pay attention if tasks that once felt easy, like making the bed, walking around the house, or carrying laundry, suddenly feel draining. If you need to rest more between activities, or if you're sitting down more often during the day, your body may be signaling that it needs strength support, not just rest. The good news is that muscle responds quickly to gentle, consistent attention. You don't need to join a gym or lift heavy weights. A few chair exercises, a short walk each day, and mindful eating can restore energy and reduce this kind of hidden fatigue. And most importantly, it can help you keep your independence and the sense of vitality that makes daily life joyful. It's okay to slow down, but it's not okay to fade away without a fight. Your body is capable of more than you think. Fatigue after small tasks is not a failure. It's a flag asking you to take action now before weakness becomes a limitation. In the next part, we'll turn our attention to a visual sign that's easy to overlook but often tells the truth. Shrinking thighs or upper arms, even when you're not losing weight. Let's continue with number 5. Noticeable shrinkage in thigh or upper arm size. Number 5. Noticeable shrinkage in thigh or upper arm size. Gloria, 74, had always loved her Sunday walks and wearing her favorite blue cardigan. One afternoon, while folding laundry, she held up that familiar sweater and paused. "That's odd," she murmured. "It looks bigger." The sleeves, which used to fit snugly, now hung loosely around her arms. At first, she blamed the dryer, but later that evening, she looked in the mirror and noticed something else. Her upper arms looked smaller, not just thinner, but almost deflated. And her pants? They no longer hugged her thighs the way they used to, even though her weight on the scale hadn't changed. What Gloria noticed was a visible sign of muscle loss, a gradual shrinking of the muscle tissue in the thighs and upper arms, two areas where age-related muscle decline often begins. Unlike fat loss, which is usually accompanied by changes on the scale, muscle loss can happen quietly. Your weight may stay the same or even go up, but the composition of your body changes, with less lean muscle and more body fat. This shrinkage doesn't happen overnight. It starts subtly. A looser shirt sleeve, a pant leg that flaps more in the wind, or even the look of a softer, less firm outline in the mirror. These changes are often dismissed as just getting older or losing tone, but they're actually early physical signs of sarcopenia, and they matter. Muscles, especially in the thighs and upper arms, play a major role in mobility, strength, balance, and daily function. When those muscles begin to shrink from underuse or lack of nutrition, everything becomes more difficult. Walking upstairs, lifting groceries, standing from a low chair, or even catching yourself during a stumble. And because these areas are so central to movement, the loss can snowball quickly if not addressed. The medical explanation is simple. After age 60, the body's ability to maintain muscle naturally declines unless it's actively stimulated. Without enough resistance movement and adequate protein, the body gradually breaks down muscle tissue for energy. You may not feel pain, but you might feel weaker, slower, and, like Gloria, see the signs in the mirror before you feel them in your legs. But here's the good news. These changes are not irreversible. After her discovery, Gloria brought it up with her doctor, who confirmed her suspicion and sent her to a physical therapist. There, she learned a few simple leg and arm strengthening exercises using resistance bands and light hand weights. She also started tracking her protein intake and added small portions of high-protein foods at every meal: eggs, beans, yogurt, or chicken. Within 2 months, she felt firmer, more stable on her feet, and even joked that her cardigan was starting to behave again. So if you've noticed that your pants seem looser around the thighs, or your sleeves no longer hug your arms like before, don't dismiss it. Look closer. Has your body changed shape even though your weight hasn't? Do your limbs feel softer or less firm? These are not just aesthetic shifts, they're signals. Your body is asking for attention and care. Try taking a weekly mirror check, not to judge, but to observe. Feel your upper arms and thighs. Are they still firm, or have they lost some of their tone? If so, consider adding small strength-building movements to your day. Even standing up and sitting down slowly from a chair 10 times can activate your leg muscles in a meaningful way. And remember, aging may change our bodies, but it doesn't mean we have to lose our strength without a fight. These muscles have carried you through decades of life. With just a little love and effort, they can still support you beautifully in the years ahead. In the next part, we'll focus on something even more critical: the link between poor balance, frequent stumbles, and muscle loss, and how to stop a fall before it happens. Let's move on to number 6, poor balance or frequent stumbles. Number 6, poor balance or frequent stumbles. David, 81, had always been steady on his feet. A former high school coach, he prided himself on his posture and the way he carried himself. But over the past few months, he began to notice something unsettling. He'd lose his footing for no clear reason. Walking through the living room, he'd brush the side of the coffee table. Turning to answer the door, he'd wobble slightly. Once, while stepping off the curb, he felt his body lurch forward and had to grab a nearby pole to stop himself from falling. There was no dizziness, no drop in blood pressure, just a subtle, nagging sense that his balance wasn't what it used to be. For many older adults, this experience is all too familiar and often brushed aside. But make no mistake, poor balance or frequent stumbles are among the most dangerous and most telling signs of muscle loss. You see, balance isn't just about your ears or your brain. It's also about your muscles, especially the ones in your legs, hips, and core. These muscles act like stabilizers, constantly adjusting your position without you even noticing. But when those muscles weaken, even slightly, your ability to stay upright, react quickly, and recover from a misstep begins to slip away. And the consequences, they can be devastating. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in adults over 65 in the United States. A broken hip or a head injury can steal your independence in a heartbeat. And yet the early signs, a small stumble, a brush against the hallway wall, a hesitation before stepping off a curb, are often ignored. Here's what happens. When leg muscles weaken, your stride becomes shorter, your steps less steady, and your reaction time slower. Your body tries to compensate by shifting weight to your arms, moving more cautiously, or holding furniture while walking. But these are just temporary fixes. Without muscle support, your foundation continues to erode. The good news? Balance, like strength, can be trained and improved at any age. When David brought up his concern during a routine checkup, his doctor referred him to a fall prevention clinic. There, a specialist assessed his gait, tested his leg strength, and gave him a personalized exercise plan. It started with simple activities: standing on one foot for 10 seconds while holding the back of a chair, rising from a seated position without using his hands, and walking heel to toe in a straight line down the hallway. Within a month, David noticed fewer stumbles. Within 2, he was walking more confidently and even returned to his daily walks at the park. something he had quietly stopped doing out of fear. You don't need fancy equipment to begin rebuilding balance. You can start right at home. Stand near the kitchen counter and lift one foot off the ground for 5 to 10 seconds. Try gentle side steps or slow marches in place. When brushing your teeth, stand with your feet together and gently shift your weight side to side. These small movements help re-engage the muscles that keep you upright and remind your brain how to coordinate them. If you're noticing stumbles, near falls, or a general hesitation in your steps, please don't wait. It's not just aging. It's your body signaling that the muscles meant to protect you are fading. And the earlier you act, the more you can prevent. There's a quiet confidence that comes from feeling steady again. You don't need to live in fear of falling. With a little attention in a few minutes each day, you can rebuild the strength and coordination that lets you move through the world. Not just safely, but proudly. In the next part, we'll talk about something even more visual, but easy to dismiss. When your clothes start fitting looser around the arms and legs, even when the scale hasn't changed. Let's move on to number 7, clothes fitting, looser in the arms or legs. So many of the signs we've talked about today, needing to push with your hands to stand up, walking more slowly, feeling tired after doing just a little, may seem like normal aging. But they're not just signs of getting older. They're your body's quiet way of asking for help, of telling you, I'm still here and I want to stay strong, but I need your support. The truth is, muscle loss isn't sudden. It doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in the little things. The way your sleeves feel looser, the way you stumble more often, the way daily chores feel heavier than they used to. These are not failures. They're invitations, gentle reminders that your strength matters. Not just for lifting or climbing stairs, but for living fully, independently, and with confidence. And the best part? You can begin turning it around at any age. Your muscles are still listening. They're still capable of rebuilding. If you move them with intention, feed them with care, and treat them with respect. A few simple exercises, a bit more protein at each meal, a walk with purpose. These are not big changes, but they can create a big difference. You don't need to be an athlete. You don't need a gym. What you need is the willingness to notice what your body's telling you and the courage to answer that call. So take a moment today to stand tall, breathe deeply, and make a promise to yourself. I will care for my strength because my strength cares for me. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And remember, you are not losing strength. You are rediscovering it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and haven't yet liked and subscribed, now is the perfect time to do so. It really helps our channel grow and reach more people who need this kind of helpful content. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you'll always know when a new video is up. Your support truly means the world to us. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.